And now we are standing at the ancient house at 87 Mame Street. So first, some brief information about its history when it was built. And most of the ancient houses in the Old Quarter was built in the 19th century, and this house was built in 1890. After invading Vietnam in 1858 and colonizing the whole country in 1883, the French wanted to establish Hanoi as the headquarters of the French Indochina. So in 1887, French renovated the city and wanted to build a French quarter in the place of the old quarter, but they realized that it was too difficult to replace people, to change people's lifestyle, the area's plan and design, so they chose the area to the south of Hoan Kiem Lake. But they ordered the demolition of houses in Old Quarter and built new houses to make the city more organized and beautiful. The first owner of the house was a rice trader. They lived here until 1945, and then they sold it to Chinese families who sold Chinese traditional medicine. And in 1945, they left the house. They left for Saigon and abandoned the house. They worried that they couldn't do the business under some new policy at that time. You know that on the 7th May 1954, Vietnam Vietnam had beaten French completely at Dien Bien Phu battle, but the country was divided into north and south. The north followed communism under the leadership of Ho Chi Minh, and the south followed capitalism under the leadership of Bao Dai. So the government took over the house and located to 5 families who were teachers, scholar, or state staff. Until 1990s, with more and more foreign visitors to Hanoi and the Old Quarter, the government wanted to restore and preserve the houses and the Old Quarter. In 1999, the house was repositioned and renovated, and the family lived here were replaced to other places. So the house is now kind of a museum for visitors. You can notice that the house has quite a narrow wide, and that's why it has the tube-shaped house. You know why? Because in the past, after French colonization, Nguyen Dynasty imposed real estate taxes based on the width of the house. So the owner built narrow house to reduce tax and lengthen it to the back to have enough space. They designed the house to have the lights wall to get more light, and get the house ventilated. And the house had a combination of Vietnamese and French architecture style. You can notice that most typical one is the painting. Yellow was really popular in French Quarter for some reasons. The French saw that with the beautiful sunlight in Vietnam, the house with yellow painting would reflect the sunlight and make the city splendid and beautiful. And Vietnam has tropical climates with humid and hot weather. It's easy for moss to develop. So moss on yellow background doesn't look dirty. Instead, it makes the world ancient and more beautiful. And the second French element is the French balcony. It's the new architecture imported from France. There are Vietnamese elements in the house, and that are wooden structure, wooden beam, wooden furniture, or horizontal board, parallel tendencies, door sill, or workshop area upstairs. So next is the function of the house. The first area was used. The first area we stepped in was used for doing business, and the second area was used for manufacturing in the daytime and for sleeping in the nighttime for the second and third generation, and sometimes staff and workers. The first generation would sleep upstairs because it was more quiet. Then next area is the kitchen. It's played an important part in Vietnamese family. In our tradition in keeping happiness of the family, because family members gather together here to prepare meals. It's a perfect time to strengthen relationship, and it's where mother cook and teach their daughter how to cook, how to care for the family, and where she passed down the tradition and custom. It's also where parents teach their children how to live, how to behave well during the meals. And there are some typical objects in the kitchen, that is the locust fruits that were used to washing hair in the old time when there was no shampoo, and it was often used in combination with some other herbs like grapefruit peel, lemongrass, and other herbs. And a typical one here, Kanika hat. It's a symbol of Vietnam. Along with outside, it makes some discreet, charming beauty of Vietnamese women. It's also very versatile. It can be used for preventing sunlight, farming, seating, etc. And the cupboard, this one is very popular in the kitchen of almost every family in the country. And it normally has 3 layers. The highest layers keeps leftover foods and be sealed to prevent mice, cat getting into it. And the middle layer contains bowl, plates, and the lowest layer contains pickle jars You can see some stone mills here. They are used for grinding rice and corn and beans in the old time when there was no electricity. And tripod stove was used for cooking. And the last area on the first floor was the drainage and the restroom and the storage room. And on the second floor, there are one area for greeting guests, one area for worshipping ancestors, and one bedroom for the first generation of the family. Okay, so that's something about the ancient house in the old quarter.